Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Today's podcast coaching is with someone who has been in my community and who has been a podcast listener for a little bit of time. Her name is Dekeira Horn, and she is the anxiety-free dietitian. And Dekeira has been doing amazing work around manifestation and with her money mindset, and recently manifested a $5,000 month. And she is ready to manifest her 10K month. She has a launch coming up and wanted some coaching around it. She said, I've identified that I have some limiting beliefs that I want to clear up around this launch. And so that's exactly what we dove into and what I coached her around. And one of the things that I teach Dekeira in this podcast coaching is that while it can be really helpful and so effective to practice positive thoughts, practice positive mantras, intentional thoughts, power thoughts, as I call them, I mean, they are powerful. And in fact, that's what helped her manifest the 5K. But I also let her know and shared a process that can be really helpful in terms of accelerating the manifestation process, which is also being willing to look at, recognize, and question your limiting beliefs. Because what can happen if we're only practicing positive thoughts and mantras around money, but we're still holding on to our limiting beliefs as if they're true, is that they will consistently pull us back. They will consistently pull us back into a lower vibration, and they will slow down the process. So what we talked about and what we coached on is first recognizing what's coming up, what she's thinking that's in the way of having an easeful 10K launch. And I helped her question those thoughts. I helped her challenge those thoughts. And I have to say that right there is the power of having a coach. Somebody who is neutrally looking at your brain, who has done their own work around money or around hustling and slowing down, and having someone outside of your brain catch those thoughts, be able to recognize them, things that we just think are facts or we just think are true, or maybe we know it's a limiting belief, but we are having a hard time not believing it and really having a hard time challenging it. That's the power of having a coach, is they can help pull those thoughts out of your brain and say, ooh, this is one of the things that's really going to get in the way for you. And here's an option to see it differently. Here's how I see it, right? And that can help eliminate it within a second. So that's what we did in this session. It was sort of like a clearing. So I'm super excited for you to hear it and for you to be able to say, ooh, what in my life, what's my next level manifestation? And how can I bring this coaching into that? All right, enjoy the episode. Hi, Dekeira. What would you like some coaching on?
I would like some coaching on eliminating limiting beliefs I have around having a successful launch, and also manifesting $10,000. Mm-hmm. My last manifestation was $5,000, so now I'm moving on to $10,000. And I don't really feel that much resistance, but sometimes I still do get those intrusive thoughts in my head. And I really want to leave my current full-time job. Okay. And get a bridge job. So it's like something that's part-time.
Yep.
That won't take up too much of my hours, but will help me sustain my life. And I get a call tomorrow as to whether I received this one job or not. And then I have another interview. So I'm basically calling in a part-time job that pays me just as much as my full-time job,
Love it.
and $10,000 and a successful business launch.
Amazing. I love it. I love your clarity of intention. You know where you're going, which is step one of the manifestation process, as you know, because I know you've been following this work and the podcast for a while. So yeah, step one is always getting crystal clear on what you want, like knowing what that outcome is. And I love how you even shared it with such clarity, such intent. You're like, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm headed, right? Like, you knew the specifics, right? I want to get a part-time job at the same rate as my full-time job. And guess what? Because you're declaring it, that's what's going to happen, right? It's like you are plugging that into the system of the GPS. So I love it. And I am so here to help support you in this and coach you on clearing out anything that is in the way of just receiving both of these with ease, receiving the 10K launch with ease and receiving the part-time job that feels like a perfect bridge job where you're making the money you want to be making in less hours.
I also feel like I still have this inner deep thought that I need to really work hard and post every day just to gain followers.
Okay.
And to gain people to be attracted to my business as well. I'm trying to eliminate that as well.
Okay. Yep. All right. So we'll work with that too. I love it. So that's kind of letting go of like the whole hustle culture. Hustle thoughts. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Let's do it. So first thing you said, which I think is so fun because for listeners who don't know, actually, I coached Dekeira, what was it? Maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago, I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2 months ago. Unfortunately, something happened with my audio in it. It was choppy, so we couldn't use the coaching episode. So I'm like, come back, we'll coach you again. And since then, so much has changed. Like you said, you manifested the 5K, right? When we first talked, you were in a completely different place just 2 months ago. So it's really so fun to see how far you've come. And even like the level in which you're sharing and talking, you're just in such a different energetic place around money. So I just want to acknowledge that first of all and congratulate
Thank you.
And I know how much work you've done about that because we've been, chit-chatting on Instagram. So it's so fun. So here's the thing. Here's one thing that I think is really helpful to do, and anyone can do this. And it's what you mentioned was I manifested the 5K, right? Like that was your first intention, was to manifest 5K. And what I think can be so helpful anytime you manifest anything is to dive into the process of it and say, what worked for me? And what's so fun is so many people think, oh my God, I haven't manifested anything. And that's so not true. That's like a load of BS, right? We're all manifesting all the time. Like anything that you've ever thought, hey, this is a goal or this is something that I want to create. And then you went and created it. That is a manifestation come to life. So you've already done that with 5K. And I love that you're like, I'm ready for 10K. But what can be really helpful to move to 10K is to say first, hey, what worked for 5K? Because I became the person who hadn't manifested that beforehand and then became the person who had it. And you became an energetic match to that. So let's look at what worked, what your process was there, because we can bring a lot of that process into 10K. And then I think what another piece that we can do is like eliminating any, like you said, limiting beliefs about what's different between 10K and 5K. So let's first, if you're open to it, start with what worked. How'd you manifest the 5K?
So I was doing a lot of subliminals as I was falling asleep, as I was waking up. I would do midday meditations, but this is when I had more time. This is when I didn't have much hours in my job. What really worked was the robotic affirming. So I was constantly affirming like multiple times for at least 10 minutes or throughout the day of my affirmation, which was I have $5,000, or for the good of all with harm to none, $5,000 is on its way to me right now. And I was doing a lot of gratitude journaling, a lot of scripting, and learning how to open up my heart chakra, because I saw a psychic who told me that I feel stuck in my life because my heart chakra was closed off from previous trauma. So I did a lot of EFT tapping and opening up my heart chakra, a lot of meditations around that. But I think really it was just the repetition of everything that I was doing, because I was doing it every single day, like all day long. Like I was literally like submerging or immersing. I don't know.
Yep.
Either way, I was
Submerging.
really
Yep.
like
Yep.
drowning my brain. Oh yeah,
Yep.
I was really like drowning my brain in that content, and I think, and I was also doing the physical action behind it too. So I was looking for jobs, and I saw one job that had a 5K sign-on bonus. I was like, all right, I'm going to get that job done,
Yep.
because that's the only way I see the 5,000. So I just applied for it and I got it.
Okay. I love it. Amazing. So yeah, like you said, you really committed to becoming the person who believes that you can manifest 5K, right? And the way that you did that, like you
Yeah.
said, subliminals, doing the consistent thought work, the power thought work of just like consistently repeating it robotically over and over. It sounds like it was a commitment to believing that you can create this, right? And then taking the
Yeah.
action as well. And what's interesting is I do think that like what happens is when we are so committed to believing in what we want to create and at the level that you did it, it's like the opportunity presents itself to us, which it did. You saw a job with a 5K bonus and then you took action on it.
Yeah.
So it happens in that way. So with that, if you kind of know what works for you in terms of how to manifest money, what can you bring into, even if your schedule is more limited, what do you think is going to be helpful to bring into this 10K manifestation from the 5K one, right?
So I do basically the same thing, except because I've had launches in the past that did not work out. That's what freaks me out a little bit. And also, I've never really been, this is past, not talking currently, because I'm trying to not speak that into existence.
Yeah.
But previously, it was really hard for me to attract clients. And that was even at a lower rate, which is what you talked about in the 3-day class. But recently, I increased my prices to what I think it's worth.
Yeah.
And I'm just nervous about whether I'll get clients or not, because I don't have any testimonials. I only have one client right now who would give me a testimonial. And I'm doing, she's doing really well working with me, and like we're doing really well working with each other. So I'm sure she'll give me a great testimonial. But what scares me is that people might not want to do my program if they don't see any reviews or anything.
Okay. Okay. So that right there is a thought that how does it feel? I don't know if people will want to work with me because I don't have reviews.
It feels kind of nerve-wracking, because I really want this to be, well, I know it's going to be a successful launch.
Yeah.
But just the thought and the fact that I've never had one in the past keeps up on me and kind of makes me lose a little confidence and hope. But this launch, I genuinely feel in me that it's going to be successful, but I just don't want the limiting beliefs to get in the way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it is helpful because if you look at the limiting beliefs and look at, okay, well, like if that's what I'm thinking, how does that make me feel? Because then your feelings are going to drive your actions and how you show up for the launch. So if you're thinking, I have one testimonial, right? I don't have enough testimonials to get clients or for people to sign on at this rate. So if you're thinking that thought, how does it feel in your body when you think that? What's the emotion?
I don't know, but it's like not a good emotion.
Yeah, right.
It should definitely be more positive.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then from that place, when you're feeling, how would you describe the emotion? Even if you don't like have a name for it, what does your body do when you're thinking that?
It gets a little nervous. I guess it just feels like a low vibe, a low vibrational emotion.
Yeah. Okay. Nervousness, low vibe. Yeah. Maybe shut down a little bit. And then from that place, what do you do? How do you show up for this launch?
I kind of just start reaffirming and get out of my head a little bit, because I'm doing a photo shoot and everything for the launch, so I'm very excited about it. I'm trying to remain, like the last few days up until the launch, I've been working on moving my body more through joyful movements. So like dancing while saying my affirmations out loud, just to lift my vibration and to like just be happier while saying my vibration. And also listening to more music, because I listen to a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos. Like I listen to those more than music. So I listen to a lot of, I've been listening more to upbeat music the last few days and like reciting my affirmations just to get me out of that mood and to make me feel good again and high vibe.
Yeah. So it's helpful that you're like recognizing, hey, I'm in a low vibe. I'm going to try to go do something to get out of it. But that's actually a different, what we call, whenever I'm coaching, I use one of the tools that I use is called the self-coaching model, which is where I got certified as a master coach at the Life Coach School, which is thoughts create our feelings, feelings drive our actions. So it's helpful that you're like recognizing, hey, I'm in a low vibe feeling, so let me go take action. But the problem is, if you don't address that thought, people aren't going to sign with me because I don't have enough testimonials. You'll still have, like, in a subconscious way or like in the background, this low vibe feeling that no amount of like podcasts will get you out of, or no amount of subliminals will get you out of, because that thought is still creeping up in the background, right? So if you're thinking it's still going to be this low vibe buzz. And when you have that little bit of low vibe buzz, what do you do from that? Not from changing it, but when you're in kind of a low vibe, what happens?
I guess it's harder to attract the things that you want or the clients. I've been using affirmations around getting clients. So I will say like I'm really good at getting clients. My schedule is booked up with clients and things like that to kind of help rewire my subconscious. I think if that answers the question.
Well, no, because I'm wondering what happens when you're in low vibe. Like for me, I don't take as much action, or maybe you know what I mean? Like when I am in a low vibe state, I just feel defeated ahead of time. Maybe more limiting thoughts start popping up, or imagine worst case scenario. That's what happens from low vibe. But what you're going to is, you jump to like something to help with it. But I'm wondering, when you're in a low vibe, what happens?
I guess I do overthink for a little bit, but I don't really allow myself to overthink too much or to get in more of a negative mindset, if anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. And I just get a little nervous, but I don't allow myself to sit in that feeling. That's why I try to move it out and like do affirmations and dance and stuff.
Yeah, which is awesome. But I do think that what to recognize is that feeling, like, it won't go away. It'll keep kind of popping back up until you address that thought.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you're holding on to this idea that you need testimonials to get clients, or it could be anything around that. Oh, it won't work because it didn't work in the past, or whatever the thought is. Like you said, holding on to these limiting beliefs around your launch and what you think it takes to have a successful launch. If you keep holding on to those and not questioning them, not challenging them, not seeing how they may not be true, if you're just instead jumping to a different thought, right? Like in that moment, that it's like it needs to be addressed in order to be cleared energetically, fully. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's like, it is helpful that you do these things and try to shift out of it. But my hunch is, until you like really question and see that that's not true, it will kind of creep in the background.
Okay.
And it's not just that thought. It's like any of the limiting beliefs around the launch.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll go do something and then it'll creep up again. And then you're like, oh, I got to go do another affirmation. Right? Like, so a big part of the work that I think is so helpful around business, around money, and how to actually rewire our brain is to see how the thoughts that we're thinking are not valid. Like proving to yourself that that is not valid.
Okay. So do I do that through like journaling?
That's one way. So some of the questions that I like to ask is something like, how could it's almost like trying to get my brain on board with proving that that's not true, right? Proving that maybe the opposite is true. Or I will question it in ways. And in the movement, I have a whole process for like how to do this, right? How to go through and actually question and challenge your limiting beliefs and your limiting thoughts about money or business. So one of the things is, where does that even come from? The idea that I have to have testimonials to have a successful launch. Like, where is that thought even coming from?
I think that's me, because I don't buy anything or like book anything if it has no reviews.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's a lack of trust.
Yes. But what you're saying is it must be like everyone in the world who does that.
Yeah.
Which isn't true.
That is, Yeah, that is not true. Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure there are people who do not, like, including myself. I don't look at testimonials. For me, the way that I buy is if I'm like, I think this person can help me, I feel drawn to their energy. Oh my God, I love this like free content that they're giving, or I love their podcast. I'm like, I want more of it. I don't need a review for testimony. Like, that's me. I'm thinking of all the coaches that I've hired or people that I've worked with. And sure, it can be helpful to have testimonials, but that's not something I seek out.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I think I just like, because of my ways of perfectionism, I've always wanted things to be like perfect. So whenever I've ordered things in the past or gotten things and I felt like it was a quote unquote waste of money,
Yeah.
I would get really upset. So I always check reviews and ratings and things like that. But realistically, now that I'm in this new mindset, there's no such thing really as wasting your money.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of boils down to some scarcity, limiting beliefs as well. But I didn't even connect all of those things until we just said that, because that really is why I assume that people won't buy if there's no reviews, because that's what I do.
Yes. Yes. So see how helpful it is. This is why a lot of the work with manifestation, it's not just about plastering positive thoughts over our negative thoughts. It's about
Yeah.
like really being willing to look at our negative thoughts and question the heck out of them. Like, we have to prove to our
Okay.
brain that it's not true so that it can actually dissolve. Otherwise, it's still going to hang, it's going to be around that what we'll call a limiting belief or negative thought. It's still going to be there, but we're trying to plaster these positive thoughts over it. And that can help some, but it only helps get results to a certain level, right? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I think almost, and this is something that I teach in like our very first video of Manifestation 101, is that a like manifestation is just as much about releasing what's not true as it is trying on new thoughts, right? It's actually so much of it is actually letting go of these thoughts and ideas that just are not true, that are limiting us, that aren't serving us. And of course, we have to do the work to become aware of what those are, like you're doing here, right? Like having a coach who can say, hey, this is one thought that will really get in the way. You're not noticing it, but it totally will block you from creating results. And it could be just like one thought that if you just dissolve that thought, oh my gosh, you don't even have to do so much work on power thoughts because like you just released something that was in the way.
Well, how do you know that you've dissolved that thought? Is it when the manifestation actually comes?
It's not. It's actually when you have an aha moment where you say, wait a minute, maybe that's not true. Like you were having, right? Where you're like, oh, wait, I was just thinking
Yeah.
that because that's how I buy. And then we go in
Yeah.
and we say,
Okay.
wait, what's more true? What actually is true? What does it take to sell something? Do you have to have testimonials? Do you have to have
Yeah,
reviews?
you don't. You
And
don't.
how else do we
That
know
is
that you
true.
don't? I also know you don't because everyone starts out. Every business starts with zero. Zero clients, zero customers, zero money, zero testimonials. And every business that is running at this point has customers now. They had to have bought without testimonials.
That is true. That is
Every business.
all of that is true.
There is not
Wow.
a single business that didn't get their first clients without testimonials.
That is true.
Right?
I do feel that aha moment because everything you're saying is so true.
Yeah. So then how do they do it? How did they create clients without testimonials? What do you think it takes?
I guess just their authenticity and showing up for people, and just as you say, give more,
Yeah.
and then you'll receive more,
Yeah.
and just showing up and giving free content and free things, which I do
Yeah.
on a daily basis on like YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, my podcast, my app. So I'm giving out a lot of stuff.
Yes. 100%. People buy because they see the value, right? They see, oh, this is
Yeah.
going to help me. Oh, I'm struggling with this problem and they have the solution and I really want that solution and I'm willing to pay so that I don't have to try to do this on my own. Like having an expert that can help me through it. That's what they're paying for.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of people always tell me that they learn too much from me because of what I tell them about anxiety and nutrition and stuff. So
Yeah.
it makes sense because I really am like a book of like knowledge when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I love it. So, what I'm like guessing and hearing is that, and tell me what you think about this, but the you that manifested 5K did it through a lot of just positive thoughts, right? A lot of mantra work, a
Yeah.
lot of power thoughts, which powerful as can be. You created that 5K. It's amazing. And I think to take it to 10K, it's like combining that, but also being willing to look at what am I thinking here that is in the way of this feeling easy? What are the thoughts that are in the way? And being willing to look at those and question their validity, question and commit to like shifting those beliefs and seeing them as untrue, seeing another way that it could be. My hunch is that's what's going to bring you to 10K.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to journal about this afterwards because a lot of things just came up for me.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense as to why I think that. And I think once I get over that, I'll be able to actually attract clients.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense.
What's another one? Because I'll help you challenge it. It's one of my favorite things to do as a coach.
Like another limiting belief.
Yeah. What's another belief that you have that you think is in the way of this 10K launch being easy?
I guess because of the fact that I haven't had a successful launch in the past. But at that time, I was a completely different person. I was more pessimistic and not even into manifestation. So that's probably why I think this time I will have a better launch. But I still have the fear or the thought that I'm not going to get any clients. And one of those reasons was because of what we just talked about. But then I guess the other reason is that I feel like if I don't show up on social media for a day or two, then I'm like slacking completely.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. So this belief, like I have to show on social media every single day or I'm slacking, how does that feel?
Makes me feel lazy or unproductive if I don't show up. And I feel like when I am just relaxing and just doing whatever, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, like, did I forget to do something or should I be doing this or what do I have to do tonight? Like, even like today, my friend invited me over to her house for dinner. So that's where I am right now. And my first thought was, do I have anything to work on for my business?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I did that earlier. So there's nothing else for me to do tonight. But I always feel like I have to be doing something. Like my mind is very much in that masculine state of like doing instead of just like relaxing and chilling and having a good time.
Yeah. And what's fun to kind of think about is when you manifested the 5K, was that a compound effect of all the doing that you did?
I think so, but I also think it's because I've been working since the age of 15 and I've always had multiple jobs at once, working multiple hours ever since I was 15. So I have that ingrained in my head that if I need money, I need to work hard for it. And I need to be overly working to get that money. Because like, even in college, I had 3 jobs
Right.
just to have money. So I've never seen anyone around me really, besides like my one friend, that doesn't have to work hard for money. Like everyone I know is constantly hustling and working hard for money.
I grew up in a very similar situation. I grew up in the Midwest with like
Yeah.
that similar like mindset of like you work really hard to make money. I've always had literally I had like 5 like I would work I started working at 11 as a
Yeah, I remember your
babysitter.
story. Yeah.
Right? And like would have I worked retail. I had multiple jobs, did college, right? Like I used to literally basically not sleep much. You know, it was just like work around the clock. But like I found, wait, why am I always struggling with money? It's like working more isn't creating more money. And I want to just challenge the idea that your brain thinks, oh, I worked really hard for that 5K. No, you didn't. You asked for it. You intended it. You decided you were ready for it. You gave gratitude ahead of time and you saw a job listing for 5K and you applied. That did not take hustling. You
That's
applied,
true, actually. Yeah.
right?
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like that's what's interesting is we tell ourselves the story we're making so much money from working really hard, but like that's actually not true. I actually find that like even in my past, I worked so much harder and I had so much less money because I worked around the clock. I had so many jobs. I was showing up in person for jobs. I was doing makeup. I was working retail. I mean, I'm talking all the time. And I had the least amount of money.
Yeah.
So it's like our brains think the more we work, the more we'll make. The opposite is actually true. It's when you
Yeah, that is
actually
true.
are going to let yourself slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy your time with your friend, slow down, because guess what happens to our brain when we relax and actually allow ourselves to relax and not think about business? We get inspired ideas.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right?
okay,
We
yeah.
get the next step. We get the next idea for the launch that's going to help us create the 10K. We're never going to get that idea if we're hustling, getting content out, thinking we have to do it all, especially from the energy of like, I have to work to get results. I can't be lazy. We will, our
Yeah,
brain literally, like, the wisdom can't drop in from that place. The guidance can't
that's
drop in.
true.
We cannot access our intuition, and our intuition is our greatest moneymaker. The more you slow down, the more you're going to make, Dekeira.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Right. And I know it's our brain's like, no, it can't be. I didn't learn
Yeah.
that. And it's like, well, what if it is? What if it were true?
Yeah, because
Right? Like, what if I could just lean into this idea that if I slow down, I'm going to be able to think at a higher level that's going to create the money?
I do realize that even when I go a few days without being on social media, I'll come back to
Yeah.
like a ton of notifications from like new followers and people like finding my posts and stuff. So it makes sense.
Totally. Because you already put that content out there, and there's still people finding it when you're not working. Your podcast is out there. There's people finding it while you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like if I don't post every day, people are not going to find it, but it's already there.
Totally, 100%. And what I find is that when you shift your energy around this, what tends to happen when you shift it from, I have to post to get followers, I have to do it, I need to show up, from this place of not wanting to be lazy, from this place of, it's really from scarcity, right? Because it's like, oh
Yeah,
no, if I don't do it, I won't get clients, I won't make money, I won't have this launch be successful, right? When we're doing it from scarcity, we don't get great results.
that's true.
When we shift into a place of abundance, right? Into a place of really being willing to relax and rest and trust, really trust, right? That's what it comes down to, is radical trust that things can work out even if I'm not grinding around the clock. And we're willing to lean into that courageous action. What you'll probably find happening is the more you slow down, suddenly you're going to want to work. It's going to be inspired. The posts are going to come through you. It's going to be like, oh, I got to show up. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to share this podcast episode. It
Yeah,
comes, you'll take action, but from a completely different energy. But the first bit of work is you have to like shift and rewire and commit to reprogramming this idea that the more I work, the more money that I make, and I can't slow down, because that thought's going
yeah.
to keep you from making the money that you could.
Yeah, I made a podcast episode actually on why resting equals success because there was one Sunday where I was resting and I felt really like anxious. And I started
Yeah.
affirming to myself, the less I do, the more money I make. So
Yeah.
that helped me out a lot. And that podcast episode was like one of my most played. So
Yeah.
I think because I took that inspired action from a state of resting, it did
Yeah.
inspire that episode and it helped other people as well. So
Yes. Yes. So good. So I would follow that, keep coming back to it, because, the way that your brain is unintentionally wired, same way as me, is just like automatically go to action, automatically do
yeah.
all the things. So we have to, like, it's like uncomfortable to take a step back
Yeah.
and actually follow that advice that the more I rest, the more money that I will make. And not in a way where we don't do anything, but it's like from rest, we get the inspired ideas and we actually
Yeah.
follow them. Right.
For
It's
sure.
like, for me, I think about it like, God, it just makes me able to think on such a higher level as a CEO, as a business owner, as a coach. I think so much clearer. I get access to such better ideas when I'm balanced.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
I think that's going to be a game changer for this launch.
Yeah, I'm excited to journal about this after.
Yes, isn't it good, right?
Yeah.
So this, I think, is gonna be a really great opportunity for you. It's gonna be to just really be willing to look at the beliefs that you've been having about this launch and question them and set challenge, right? Because as long as you believe they're true, thoughts become things. So what we believe is what we create. So as long as you believe it's true, you'll create that. So you have to be willing to challenge those beliefs that you don't want to be true.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
That is true.
Yeah.
That was good. That was really good. I had like two like light bulb moments, or at least three.
Good. I love it. How do you feel about the launch?
I feel very excited. I'm doing a photo shoot Wednesday night for it to post for the first. And
Yeah.
all my materials came in, so I'm very excited. And
Yay.
I just feel like this is definitely going to be successful because I'm combining nutrition counseling, which I love, with
Yeah.
manifestation, which I also love. And I think
Yeah.
it's legit a fail-proof system. Like if you're rewiring your subconscious thoughts and you're changing your eating habits, you're like, you can't have anxiety. Like you can't like, so I'm just like
Yes.
very excited. I know it's going to help a lot of people.
I love it. I love it. And
Thank
I
you.
think also the part of you that is like, what if it doesn't work? Right? What if, oh no, what if I go all in and it like the fear of like, gosh, what if I don't get the clients? It didn't work in the past and how your brain is going to that place. The way that I look at it, because my brain tries to go there too during launches, is I'm like, oh, that's just like my brain trying to protect me from disappointment, from failure. If it didn't work out, it's almost like, oh, at least I was worried about that ahead of time. At least I thought about that ahead of time. But the problem is, if we're thinking about that ahead of time in a way to like protect ourselves from doing it, then it just, again, it lowers our vibration. And also, we're not in belief. We're not holding the vibration of it working.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's not helpful. It's not helpful at all. And so the way that I always kind of work with that is I go, okay, brain, I hear you. You're trying to protect me. I get it. Like you're really scared that I'm going to go all in on this manifestation, on this belief work. I'm going to go all in on this launch. And you're afraid it won't work. And then you're trying to protect me from that in advance, which I get it. Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me. But here's the thing. You don't have to try to, I talk to my brain. You don't have to try to protect me in advance, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I got me. Like, I know how to process disappointment. If that ended up happening, I know how to be with disappointment.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to protect me. Like, I have this conversation with my brain. Like, it's safe to just believe that this can work.
I noticed that the more I robotically affirm, the more I literally do believe it.
Yeah.
Like I have no doubt that I am going to make the 10K. It's just the thoughts that creep up. Like I literally feel myself starting to like really believe it. So
Yes. I'm so excited for you. You're totally going to, and you have your process. Like you've done it with 5K, so you can totally do it with 10K. I'm so excited for you and your launch. You have to keep me posted on everything. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you. I will. Thank you so, so much.
Yes. Thanks for being on here. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.